These are some of the biggest nutrition mistakes that women are making day to day with their diet that's preventing them from being able to lose body fat. We're Ben and Lewis, and we're here to make fat loss and toning up much less complicated for women. Social media makes it seem like it's this minefield of confusion, where it actually doesn't need to be that way, and when you get things right, it is pretty simple to do. So we're going to give you some details on how you can avoid some nutritional mistakes and ultimately just find losing fat that much easier. So we're going to run through 4 of the main mistakes that we're seeing women making that's holding them back from seeing results. And Ben's going to kick us off with thinking that eating healthily means that you're going to see fat loss.
Yeah, 100%. I think like the problem with this is people think eating salads and all these like labeled healthy foods, we think that, oh, we're going to lose weight because we're eating these foods. But the thing is, these still contain calories, and ultimately calories are what make up whether you lose weight or you don't.
It's like a Caesar salad, right? Like,
Yeah,
okay, I'll choose a Caesar salad when I go out for a meal, not knowing that that Caesar dressing has got like hundreds, if not sometimes the Caesar salad has got more calories than like a burger and stuff, right? And it is that notion. And like the one that always gets women when I speak to them is, do you know what I'm gonna say?
Avocado?
Yeah, avocado, like not realizing like how many calories is actually in a avocado. Like it's like 240 or if not more for like one avocado.
It's the medium one as well.
Yeah, exactly. Not even like a big decent size one. And it's when you find that out, it just blows your mind, right? And it's the same with olive oil, like olive oil being like 119 calories for a tablespoon. And you and I know, like when it comes to dieting and losing fat, we need to keep as full as possible, where that oil and that avocado, we're looking at like 300, 400 calories there, which could be a full-blown meal of chicken, rice, vegetables, granted with some seasoning so it tastes nice and stuff, so it's not plain. But yeah, it's just those nutritional choices can make a big, big difference. And what are some of the main things that you see your clients doing when they think that I'm eating healthy, I should be losing weight, but not losing weight? What do you kind of like discover in their diet when you look into it?
For me, I think like it's all to do with their portion size of what they're having, in a sense of, yes, it still could be those healthy foods that we're talking about, but again, it's like weighing out those avocados or the tablespoon of oil or something like that. And it's simply like adding things to it that you don't necessarily realize you're adding to it. So the extra little bit of dressing because it looks a little bit dry, like these sort of things add up over the course of the day and then over the course of the week. If you're just doing that on every single little bit, you know, even like that sprinkling of cheese that you add on, which like it's
Everyone
nice,
gets
yeah,
wrong.
of course, but like you know, it's really hard to actually weigh out that cheese properly and fully accurately, you know. So things like that can like make it a lot harder. And I think like even if you're just picking it off as you're doing it as well.
When you're making kids food or when you're just
Yeah,
taste testing and stuff like that, it all adds up.
And even though you think you're eating healthy, which again, it all could be these healthy foods, they all contain calories, and that ultimately like what it boils down to with me. But for me, like, I think like we've already said, salads are the big one. Like salads, like when we think of eating healthy, we think salads. And just because it's a load of greenery doesn't mean that you're going to lose weight from doing that.
I don't think it's so much. I think women get wrong what they deem healthy versus low calorie. Like they think, they look at something and think, oh, that's healthy because it's low calorie. But there's a difference between what healthy food actually means and what low calorie means, because it's 2 different things, right? Like, put it this way, when I'm on a mass and eating 3,000 calories a day, all my food's healthy. Everything in that I eat day to day is healthy, but it's 3,000 calories still. So it adds up a lot. Like it's full of nutrients, super healthy, super high in protein, but you stick a woman on like 3,000 calories, she's gonna gain a shit ton of weight in that time. And I don't know if you saw it, but it was ages ago now. I got Ryan to actually video it for me, where I didn't weigh like little bits of my lunch. So I missed off like 20 grams of a chicken breast. I inaccurately weighed it. I missed off a few cubes of avocado. I missed off like a handful of sweet corn and stuff, and just like under tracked it. Ended up being like an extra 240 calories for like a little tiny like thing that I didn't take into consideration. So if you take that over the course of the day across multiple meals, across the weeks, across the months and stuff, it can add up to an extra like 2,000 calories a week that you didn't take into consideration. And that's before you even look at like not weighing out like your snacky treats in the evening and stuff like that and taking them into consideration too, right?
And like when we're in a fat loss phase or something, like every calorie like counts, and when you start going over, you said 240 calories, like that's the difference between losing, let's say, a pound a week or not losing anything that week potentially, or half a pound or something like that. So it can have these big differences, especially over the course of like an 8-week period or 12-week period. Like that's going to have a massive effect on that end result. And so it's like, if you're struggling to see like those changes, then these are potentially why.
Yeah, it's always going to be nutrition, no matter what it is. Like, it's never going to be someone's metabolism, right? We know that's bullshit. We never know it. It can be movement, right? Like, because if some people's getting like 2,000 steps a day, they probably need to move more, right? But ultimately, it's mostly nutrition that people get wrong, just because it's so easy to get that wrong and like miscalculate things. I mean, no one's perfect. My calories, they're not perfect. They're as accurate as they can be for my skills of tracking, but there's no way that I'm getting my calories exactly right every single day, right?
And even the nutritional labels as well, they're not 100% accurate, isn't it? Something like 30%, 20%, like
either side.
So we can never be 100%, but we can be as accurate as we can be by making sure you're weighing out and stuff like this.
Yeah, and taking data. I think that's the main thing, like, because some people probably listen to this and be like, well, if it's not accurate, what's the point in actually weighing the foods out and stuff? But this is why we track everything with our clients, right? We track their weight, we track their calories, their protein, etc. Because if we see that they're tracking 1,500 calories a day, but their weight's not changing, and we know that should be a deficit, let's say take that 1,500 with a pinch of salt. Let's just say, oh, it's probably 1,700, 1,800. We can just lower their calories to 1,400, 1,300, which we know is actually 1,500 for that person, just because the accuracy of tracking. And then they'll lose weight because we have their weight to compare it against, right? So that's just the main reason why we track so many different things, to help with that sort of stuff. But yeah, mainly like it is ensuring that just because you eat healthy, like, is great, like eat healthy diet, like absolutely, I'm all for that. But just because you eat healthy, it doesn't mean that you're going to be losing body fat and stuff, right? You have to look deeper into that and being like, okay, how many calories is this healthy food and how much protein am I getting and stuff like that.
Taking those healthy habits and then just taking them to the next level in terms of that accuracy of eating them. That's all it is. Like, they're great habits to have to continue, even if we're trying to gain weight and stuff like that. Even if we're just trying to eat just generally so that we maintain our weight. Yeah,
definitely.
They're all habits that you want to take into each of those 3 separate things, but it's the accuracy that needs to be basically improved, I think.
And do you know what the key habit is that people need to do, that women get wrong? Thinking they don't need to track. Like, not everyone does need to track, right? We've talked about this before, and we don't get all of our clients to track, right? But like, how much faster do your clients get results? The ones who track versus don't track their calories?
The results just go to another level.
Yeah, 100%.
The results go to another level.
Yeah, it's chalk and cheese, right? Like, someone who's not tracking, the results are so much slower because it's so much more of a minefield, so much more of a guesstimate, if that's a word.
Yeah,
guesstimate's a word.
I don't know if it's a word, but it works.
It works. So yeah, like, it's more of a guesstimate. So we're going to run with that. And so it's not that accurate. It doesn't mean they can't get results. Like, I've got results with clients who take photos of their food, keep a food diary and stuff, but they're nowhere near as accurate, or they don't even learn as much about nutrition as the one that track their calories. Because when you do that, obviously you learn avocado is really high in fat, so it's high in calories. You learn that nuts aren't that high in protein, they're very low in protein. They're higher in carbs and fat than they are protein, yet people call it a protein food. And therefore, it's not going to give you much protein, right? So it's all these things that people actually like look at and think, oh shit, I didn't know it had this many calories in and stuff, right? And that's just something that taking photos of portion sizes or a written food diary just can't show you.
It's that awareness, literally just being really aware of it. And that's not to say you always have to like track your nutrition as well.
No.
Like, you could do that for an 8-week period, which like might seem like a long time, but realistically, like in the grand scheme of things, 8 weeks is not a long time. Once you start to learn how to do it, you repeat the same sort of meals over and over again, like your tracking becomes a lot simpler, you know where everything is. And then because you become aware, you've learned a little bit about that nutrition. And so if you need to take your foot off the gas just a little bit afterwards and you want to maybe increase your calories slightly and maintain and just enjoy yourself just that little bit more, you can do, because you've got that awareness now. You know, actually, I can't have that massive handful of nuts that I was having before. Like, it has to be half a handful instead. So you're then not eating as much.
Well, it's just like with Project Sculpt and Tone, right? We do 8 weeks of focused tracking nutrition with clients, but then we also teach them how to increase their calories after as well, so they can maintain those results. And it is just bringing that awareness. It's understanding food quantity and like quality as well, because we need that quality nutrition, high fiber, high protein, so we stay full in a deficit. And tracking just does all that for everyone. So I think, again, one of the main main mistakes that women make is thinking they don't need to track, or not willing to put the effort in for a certain period of time, right, to get that education. The way I always describe it to my clients is like, look, it's like driving lessons. This is a point that you need to really focus and learn, and then you can go off into the big wide world and just do whatever, right, because you've got that knowledge to do it by yourself. Tracking's exactly the same as that, right? So it just allows us to do that.
I think even with yo-yo dieting as well, like, yes, you know, some women out there might be able to lose weight, but they then return, that weight returns.
Yeah, of course.
And then again, that's still about that understanding what calories are actually consuming. And as you said with the Project Sculpt and Tone, it's just about bringing those calories back up so you're aware of it again. And actually before, like, you might not have dieted with tracking calories, which again, as we've said, it can happen, maybe just not as quick. But if you do it this way, you'll then obviously then learn how to stay and not that yo-yo.
Yeah, of course. Well, that's one of the major problems is, right, like trying some fatty diets that don't teach you any of these habits that we're talking about, right? So it's like going on, I don't know, Slimming World, Weight Watchers, or no carb, or whatever it is. It's like, yeah, it's great and all, and that can help you lose weight, but like, what do you do after you've lost the weight? Like, you don't know how to sustain that because you've only known how to crash diet. Whereas what we teach people with like our coaching with Project Sculpt and Tone is, one, how to eat a way that you enjoy and you understand the calories, but then also, okay, this is how we now increase the calories again. And this is something that women massively confuse, where they think about, okay, I need to increase my calories. What other foods can I eat? Whereas it's like we always say in Project Sculpt and Tone, don't look for other foods you can eat, just increase the portion sizes of what you're eating. Don't make it more complicated than it needs to be, because it's a nightmare.
Which, if you're already eating healthy, is all we're doing when we lose body fat. Is we're just reducing those.
Yeah, exactly that, 100%. So yeah, obviously, like, that goes with that is eyeballing portions, right? Like, again, we've spoke about, you don't have to track calories, but I'd say you at least have to weigh your foods.
Like, 100%. Yeah, like, I didn't want to mention this at the start, but that's probably one of the things that I pick up on my clients is, let's say they've been dieting for X amount of time and they're starting to like see the results, they're getting happy with them, but then suddenly like it starts to slow down, and it tends to be that the weight isn't dropping because they're no longer, they just become complacent. They let those things slip, and they're the things that have actually got them to where they got originally. I've done it before when I went through with a client. They had 2 phases, or 2 fat loss phases. The first one absolutely smashed it. So we're actually really excited for the next one. And as she went into the next one, the rate in weight loss or fat loss just didn't go as quick. And what we actually realized was the weighing was just a lot less accurate, and we were slipping food in, you know, as she was making food for everybody else. I was having a bit of cheese, and it's stuff that she wasn't actually like very aware that she was doing until we pointed it out, and we said, potentially, are we letting these sort of things slip? And it was. Yeah,
well, that's the beauty and the blessing, the beauty and the curse, I guess, of a maintenance phase. Because maintenance, you can be more flexible, right? We're not trying to lose weight. We can increase your calories. You don't have to be so strict and rigid, which is great, because dieting all the time is a freaking ball ache, right? Like, it's just mentally taxing, it's physically taxing. So coming out into a maintenance phase like we do with our clients is great, because it gives them that flexibility, that lifestyle, and like enjoyment again. But they could become complacent off the back of it, because they didn't have to be so strict. And it's quite a nice place to be in when you're not trying to lose weight, like not being so strict. But then when it comes to time to get back into it, it's, if they're not like diving into it, then they're going to be a bit more complacent from that they need to get back into be that accuracy, right? Because Go on.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, and the difference in calories that can happen through weighing is crazy. Like a massive, massive difference. Like, I like to use cereals as my example for this one, because as a kid, I'd eat so many cereals. Like, I'd have, you know, those big pasta bowls, and I'd fill
like
that
a salad
to the top.
bowl.
Yeah, and I wouldn't just have the one. I'd have the 3 different cereals because I had so many of them. It was like boring eating the same one, and I decided to weigh it out one day, and actually, like, this was when I was younger. As a kid, because I was just like, this is a lot of food. Like, you know, my mum was probably going through like
a box a week.
A box every couple of days. So like literally. So I was like, oh, let's weigh this out. It was just ridiculous the amount of calories I was consuming. And so I'd encourage you to put your cereals out and weigh out how many you would normally have, because I can tell you now, like, it's maybe double, triple.
Do you know what's more depressing than cereal?
Go on.
Granola. I know it's kind of a cereal. I don't really like. That's depressing because it's so dense. Like you weigh out 30 grams and it's literally like tiny. Whereas the trick is Rice Krispies.
Yes,
they're so light. They're so light. So that's what I have when I'm dieting.
I learned as well as the Rice Krispies.
When I'm dieting, Rice Krispies, I get a full bowl. But when it's like like gaining, it's like Weetabix minis with the chocolate little chips in because they're banging. But because they're so dense and heavy, you can't have much when you're dieting. So yeah, it's literally just little swaps like this again. And this is where tracking just allows you to know all this stuff, whether it's weighing food, tracking food, whatever it is. It just makes a massive, massive difference, right? So it is the main thing. And I think the final thing to like go over is like just eating enough protein. Like this is what women don't do. Despite every time they come to us like, yep, I'm eating healthy. Yep, I'm eating enough protein. And then we look into it. I think the main reason is a lot of women think that 150 grams of chicken breast is 150 grams of protein, which it isn't, by the way. Like 150 grams is what, 30-ish? 30, 35 grams of protein, right?
Yeah.
And that's a decent sized chicken breast, right? So a lot of women do come in thinking, yeah, I'm eating loads of protein, but it's like, actually, you need to eat like 4 of those chicken breasts a day to hit like where you want to be for your protein target, right? Which is significantly a lot more than where they think they're at. So it's definitely a protein side of things. Where are some of the main meals where you see women not getting enough protein? It's definitely not dinner. Like everyone eats enough for dinner, right? It's the rest of the day.
Yeah, I'd say breakfast is probably one of the biggest ones.
Yeah.
I think like, even I found it quite difficult to get protein in the morning because you don't have the time necessarily. You don't, it's one that I think you can't just go for the stand. Well, you can, but I don't really class chicken or steak.
Tell you what, before you go on, did you know I used to eat lamb steak every morning for breakfast?
No.
Did you not? Yeah.
I don't eat lamb steak every
No,
morning.
I don't. This was ages ago. But yeah.
Like, I think like the standard we assume is, you know, meats and things like that, chicken and stuff. They're the things that we kind of assume, and that's the thing that we eat for dinner or tea, the evening meal. We don't necessarily have that for lunch all the time, and we definitely, apart from you, have it for breakfast. So I think that that's probably the harder one. However, like it's just as important, I think, in for any of the meals, because that's the thing that's going to fill you up the most, and it's going to keep you full, and it's going to stop you going back into the cupboards and wanting more snacks. Yeah, well, it's that thing, isn't it? Like, women don't eat enough protein at breakfast and lunch, and they try, I think the main thing that I see is they try and be as good as possible in the day. And then when it comes to the evening, they're so ravenous that they can't help themselves but to snack. Or in the day, they're kind of like, I know I'm going to want to snack later. I'll save calories for later. And because they save those calories, they end up like, overeating in the evening and stuff, right? But this is where having a high protein breakfast and lunch is going to help them later on in the day because they're fuller throughout the day, right? It will stop that snacking between their breakfast, which is a Belvita like biscuit or like a brunch bar, whatever it is, right? And then their lunch is usually like a crappy little thin sandwich with like a slice of like turkey in, or like just something like very low calorie, right? Just something not filling. Whereas having like a proper breakfast with high protein and a lunch with high protein stops all the snacks in between. But yeah, like you're not going to eat like lamb unless you're me for breakfast or anything like that, right? But like
just simply having things like protein oats, right? Protein oats, a scoop of protein in there, maybe a scoop and a half. You can bake oats, well, you can do whatever you want with them, right? But you can also add in like 0% Greek yogurt, high in protein, or you can have a yogurt bowl, but Greek yogurt, again, 0%, like 200 grams. It's going to give you like 15, I can't remember what it is, 15, 20 grams of protein, whatever it is. You can put half a scoop of protein in there as well. And that's just going to be so much more filling with some fruit and stuff than like anything else, right? Or another thing that you can look towards for like lunch times and stuff is I actually encourage all my clients to try and eat what they would have at dinner. Something similar, because it just fills you up so much more. And every time I get my client to do this, they've got more energy. They no longer have cravings. They see fat loss at a much quicker rate, right? Because they're eating more protein and they're stopping themselves from like having all these snacks in the evening because they're no longer hungry at that time.
Yeah, of course. And I think like you're saying about seeing like better results, like protein is one of the things that helps makes you look a little bit more toned. Like it's going to maintain muscle at a time in which our body's trying to find energy. And so like it's going to maintain that muscle so that when you come out of that diet, you're looking so much more toned and you've changed your body shape. Because like losing weight or body fat is one thing, but then actually changing your shape is another. And that's a common thing I see, like, you know, when people say I'm running all the time or something like that and losing weight, they haven't changed their body shape. And even if they were having protein, like they would at least maintain some of their muscle, which is going to help them change how they look.
Well, what I think like not enough women know is that one, protein burns more calories like through digestion. So if you was to eat 100 calories of protein, you're going to burn off 25 to 30 of those calories just digesting it. So basically you're only taking on 70 of those calories out of those original 100 calories, right? When you eat 100 calories of carbohydrates, you burn about 10 to 15% of those calories. So let's just say you're taking on 85% of those calories. So you're taking on 85 calories out of the 100, right? And then when it comes to fats, every 100 calories you eat, you burn 1 to 3 calories. So you're basically taking on all those 100 calories, right? This isn't to demonize fat or carbs, like they're both needed in your diet, but it just goes to show that protein burns more calories during digestion. So even if you're eating like a certain number of calories, especially if you've got a high protein diet, not all those calories are coming into the body because you're burning them off at a better rate. So that's something to be aware of. And also, protein is the only thing that can go towards muscle tissue. Nothing else can. Carbs can't build muscle, fats can't build muscle or anything like that. Only protein can. So again, if we was to take two people, I always use this example of like, I don't know if you've done this with your clients or not, but if you was to take two people eating the exact same amount of calories, right? Same body fat percentage, whatever it is to begin with, the person who is eating a high protein diet versus the one eating a low protein diet, the person eating the high protein, they would be significantly leaner. They'd have more they would have more muscle, than body fat percentage. And that's because they're eating the only nutrient that can go towards muscle tissue. But also, like I said, because you have a higher protein diet, you're not taking on as many of those calories. Even though both are eating 2,000, one's taking on significantly more because their diet's mostly carbs and fats, right? I don't know if you've ever done that before.
I've never showed it or told it like that. But
there you can. There you got it.
Learn something every day.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, no, I think I agree with that completely. And as you said, like, we're not demonizing carbs and fats because that's something that like is done all over social media. Like, or I think carbs is one of the main ones that I see on
carbs,
social media.
100%.
But they are so important still. It's just making sure that you're not overdoing it with them. You know, they're the thing that is going to give you the majority of your energy throughout the day.
It's the easiest thing to overconsume, isn't it? Carbs and fats, not protein.
Yeah, of course. So that's the thing that you would have to watch out the most, but it's still important to have them in your diet, especially when like we're eating less and energy is like, well, it's not there, is it?
No. Yeah, 100%, definitely. So yeah, those are the four main things really. That's the main mistakes that we're seeing women make with their nutrition. But if you tweak these and adjust them to like what we've said, it will make life so much easier. And like we said, we haven't talked about anything complicated here, right? We haven't talked about like, oh, it's carbohydrates, they're stopping you from burning fat because of this, that, and the other, and insulin and stuff. Like, this is just practical advice. Like, it's just easy stuff that you can do to implement. When I say, okay, it's simple stuff to implement, right? It's simple. It's not easy because it takes effort to track your calories, weigh your food, and it is a pain in the ass. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and say like, It's great. I love it. Like, no, it's a pain in the ass, but if you want the results, like, it's just something that you're gonna have to do in the interim to learn along the way. So yeah, if you don't know how to do this sort of stuff and you haven't got a clue where to start, or because you know it's a pain in the ass, you're probably not going to stick to it. We are running our program Project Sculpt and Tone on the 29th of September, and it is a game changer where we'll teach you all of this stuff to be able to get results more simply, right? Not easy, but simply. And it will be easier because there's stuff that you can actually do and implement, right? But yeah, it's a program that will honestly change your life. We've had we've sold over 160 spaces over the 2 years. Some of those women are repeat clients that they love the program so much they keep coming back. And then others are newbies that are joining for the first time, but everyone sees insane results. They learn like loads. So if you want to be able to jump onto that program, then the link is going to be down below, and we'll see you in there basically.
Yeah, sounds good. I'll see you there.
In a bit.
Bye.